I'm going to break down 11 solid points that'll leave you totally convinced that we're designed to thrive on meat.
And I'm going to break down Bella's points that will leave you totally convinced that we are not designed to thrive on meat.
So let's start from the very top of human anatomy with point number 1. Take a look at these animals.
And take a look at these animals.
Notice anything different? Humans, like wolves, lions, and bears, have forward-facing eyes, and this evolutionary placement is 100% by design.
Here are a few examples of carnivore species that don't have forward-facing eyes, but rather eyes positioned more on the sides.
It gives us excellent depth perception, which is essential for hunting and tracking prey. Unlike herbivores, who usually have their eyes on the sides for a broader view to spot predators, our eye setup is all about precision. It really highlights our evolutionary path as hunters.
Gorillas. These large primates primarily eat leaves, fruit, and other plant matter, despite having forward-facing eyes. Pandas. Giant pandas have forward-facing eyes and feed almost exclusively on bamboo. Koalas. Their eyes are positioned forward, and they follow a strict diet of eucalyptus leaves. Lemurs. Many lemurs, especially the larger species, live on leaves and fruit but have forward-facing eyes. There are many more species who thrive on plants and have eyes positioned forward,
Relying on our visual acuity to pinpoint exactly where our next meal will be.
Wolves, bears, and lions have limited color vision, seeing mostly in shades of blue and yellow, while humans perceive a wide range of colors. This advanced color vision is linked to our evolutionary history as frugivores. Being able to distinguish subtle color differences helps us identify ripe fruits and berries, which were essential food sources for our ancestors. I debunked Bella's false point about carnivore eyes. Next,
Let's talk about our stomachs. For carnivorous species, having an acidic stomach is absolutely crucial. Why? Because meat spoils much faster than plants, leading to a buildup of bacteria. An acidic environment helps break that down effectively and keeps us safe from potential harm. So if you guys don't know how it works, the lower the pH number is, the more acidic the stomach is. To really visualize this, our stomach has a pH of about 1.5. Pretty impressive, right? That's similar to the stomachs of lions and wolves.
human stomach pH is actually more similar to that of pigs than to that of wolves or lions.
Which sit between 1 and 2. Compare that to cows, which have a pH of around 4 to 6. Even elephants range from 6 to 7.5. Our closest primate relatives, chimpanzees, fall between 4 and 5. So, not only do we have a much more acidic stomach than herbivores, but one of the few species with a more acidic stomach than us.
It is actually 300 species that have more acidic stomach than us.
Is the vulture, which hovers around a pH of 1. They're scavengers feasting on carcasses that have been around for a while, and that means lots of bacteria.
Lions and wolves lack amylase in their saliva. Amylase is an enzyme that breaks down carbohydrates. But humans have amylase. A low stomach pH helps kill bacteria and pathogens, not just break down food. Throughout history, humans have eaten a varied diet, including roots, fruits, and nuts. Acidic gastric juice has helped protect us from food poisoning. Next false point, please.
Point is the toxicity of plants. Every single plant, including vegetables, that many people eat on a daily basis have a long list of toxic defense compounds. The reason for this is because plants can't run away or fight back like animals can. So instead, they have to defend themselves through biowarfare. These defense compounds can cause us serious harm. Whereas in meat, because animals can defend themselves through methods such as kicking, punching, and running, there are none of these defense compounds present.
Before we move on, I just want to point out that Max here, who's giving us advice on how to eat, is 22 years old. 22. Bella is 28. Maybe something to keep in mind. I don't know about you, but I could live on Pepsi Max, ramen noodles, cigarettes, and be out drinking multiple times a week and still be healthy and look damn fresh when I was in my 20s. But now we're talking about toxins in plants. Let's focus on that. Plants produce these substances as a defense mechanism against pests and environmental stress, but many of them have evolved. They have evolved to be not only safe for human consumption, but even beneficial. For example, broccoli contains glucosinolates, which can be toxic in extremely high doses, but in normal amounts support detoxification and may help protect against diseases like cancer. Similarly, other plant compounds, such as antioxidants and phytochemicals, help reduce inflammation, support the immune system, and contribute to overall health. Contribute, not detract from health. Next,
Here's the kicker. Humans lack the adaptations needed to break down these plant toxins effectively. Certain animals can eat specific types of plants thanks to special digestive features. Take the gorilla, for example. They have a large cecum and colon that allow them to ferment their plant-based diet. During this fermentation, they convert high-fiber foods into short-chain fatty acids, which provides energy. In contrast, when humans consume fiber, it counts as 0 calories.
it's true that we can't break down all fibers on our own, but luckily, our gut microbiome has our backs. Bacteria in the human colon ferment fibers, turning them into short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, propionate, and acetate. These serve as a key energy source for our gut cells and come with a host of health benefits. So Bella is not telling the truth here. In fact, a fiber-rich diet has been linked to a lower risk of colon cancer, better blood sugar regulation, and improved gut health. Gorillas have a larger cecum and a longer colon because they ferment cellulose on a much greater scale than we do. Then again, they're also a lot bigger than us. Humans have a shorter gut, but we still have a functional cecum and a colon that can ferment fiber, just not as efficiently as gorillas. But efficiently enough. Lions? Lions have a short digestive tract, 4 to 6 times their body length, optimized for quickly digesting meat. Wolves? Wolves have a slightly longer gut, 6 to 8 times their body length, allowing limited digestion of plant matter. Humans? Humans have around 10 to 12 times their body length. Far better at processing plants. When it comes to the cecum, lions have a rudimentary cecum, useless for fiber digestion. Wolves have a small but functional cecum, meaning they can extract some nutrients from plants. Humans have a larger, well-developed cecum, showing we can handle plant-based foods.
We struggle to digest it, and while it may pass through us, it can actually cause gut damage on its way out. Gorillas, however, can convert fiber into energy. Their digestive systems are tailor-made for breaking down plant toxins, while we simply lack those adaptations.
There's no evidence that fiber harms the gut. On the contrary, plenty of studies show that fiber supports a healthier gut microbiome, reduces inflammation, and improves digestion. Fiber also helps prevent constipation, lowers cholesterol, and stabilizes blood sugar. If you're playing carnivore, you might want to keep an eye on that cholesterol. Haven't we seen enough heart attacks and strokes in that crowd? While everyone pretends their off-the-charts blood work is somehow a win. A fiber-free diet can actually be harmful and has been linked to an increased risk of colon cancer and other chronic diseases. That is, of course, if one were interested in medical studies, which Bella, apparently, is not. Next, please.
Fifth reason is that we are very different to other primates. You often hear the argument that because our closest relatives in the chimpanzee eat plants, that means we should too. But this logic doesn't make sense. We're fundamentally very different from these species. We have shorter intestines that can't ferment plants the same way. We have the highly acidic stomach, and we have a number of different anatomical adaptations that set us apart.
I just thoroughly debunked this argument. Max claims that we're nothing like primates. Sure, there are differences, but the gap between humans and primates is microscopic compared to the vast chasm separating humans from lions. Shouldn't that be obvious to every person on this planet? Next.
Let's talk fats. And not just any fats, but the specific kinds our bodies need for proper functioning, especially for brain health.
A human could actually go their entire life without added fat sources. That's because every food contains fat. Bananas. Bananas have fat. Rice. Rice is fat. Lettuce. Even lettuce has fat. Everything we eat contains some fat. We could survive just fine on that. Glucose, on the other hand, is a different story. Carnivores argue that we don't need to eat carbs since our bodies can produce glucose on their own. But that process is incredibly energy intensive. Meanwhile, The liver can produce the small amount of cholesterol we need much more efficiently from plants. Oh, and one more thing. Meat contains sugar. Did I just say that meat contains sugar? Yes. Even before the body goes through the laborious process of converting protein into glucose, meat already has sugar in it. And why is that? Because the animals that are eaten had blood sugar. Without it, they die. And meat contains blood. And blood? It's sweet.
The human brain is made up of carbon 20 and 22 fatty acids.
Saying the brain is made of just these two fatty acids is like saying a cake is made of flour. Technically not wrong, but wildly incomplete. The brain is a biochemical masterpiece, packed with myelin, enzymes, phospholipids, and neurotransmitters, all working together to keep you thinking, feeling, and remembering where you left your keys. And speaking of energy, your brain is an absolute glutton. It burns through about 20% of your body's total energy, mostly running on glucose. But here's the catch. Unlike muscles or the liver, the brain can't stockpile its own fuel. It's like a high-performance engine with no gas tank. It needs a constant supply from the bloodstream. Certain brain cells, like neurons and red blood cells, are especially picky eaters. They must have glucose, and if they don't get it, they start dying. So next time you're feeling foggy, maybe your brain is just hungry.
Found abundantly in meat. We're talking about crucial compounds like DHA and EPA, which are essential for our cognitive function.
Just because our brains contain certain fatty acids doesn't mean we need to get them from our diet. As I said, the brain runs on glucose, not fatty acids. Think of it like a car. Just because there's oil in the engine doesn't mean it runs on oil. It runs on fuel, just like your brain runs on glucose.
On the flip side, plants mostly provide 18 carbon fatty acids. We can convert these to some extent.
Not true. Algae contain carbon 20 fatty acids, including EPA and DHA. If you want to be on the safe side as a vegan, you can take an algae-based supplement. It's like fish oil, but without the mercury and other contaminants found in fish and fish oil.
That has had a major impact on us over the last 12,000 years since shifting our diets toward more plant-oriented options. Since then, our brains have actually shrunk by about 11%.
Human brains have shrunk slightly over the past 12,000 years, but don't blame your diet. This isn't about eating less meat. The idea that brain shrinkage is caused by dietary changes is an oversimplification and a misinterpretation of anthropological and nutritional research. Instead, the changes in brain size result from a mix of genetic, social, and environmental factors. Take Neanderthals, for example. They had bigger brains than modern humans, but that doesn't mean they were geniuses. Throughout evolution, brain size has fluctuated, and a slight decrease in volume doesn't automatically mean a drop in intelligence or cognitive ability.
Next reason is due to missing nutrients in plants. There are many nutrients that literally cannot be found in plants. Creatine, carnitine, vitamin B12, the carbon 20 and 22 fatty acids that Bella just talked about. In fact, with creatine, it is the most researched supplement in the entire world. And time again, we find that creatine supplementation significantly improves brain function. Without these essential nutrients and fats, our brain capability takes a serious hit.
All right, let's break it down. Creatine. Your body naturally produces creatine from the amino acids glycine, arginine, and methionine, all of which are found in plant-based foods like legumes, nuts, and seeds. While vegans may have slightly lower creatine levels than omnivores, the body often adapts by using creatine more efficiently. Some studies suggest creatine can boost brain function, so why not try a supplement and see if you notice a difference? Bonus: creatine powder is vegan. Carnitine. Your body also makes carnitine from lysine and methionine, amino acids found in both plant and animal foods. Fun fact: potatoes are packed with lysine, and legumes are rich in methionine. However, supplementing with carnitine isn't ideal, especially if you're prone to cold sores, as it can trigger outbreaks. B12. Deficiency is common in both meat eaters and vegans. When someone isn't feeling well, B12 levels are one of the first things doctors check. And those B12 shots? Super common. Not because the world is overrun with vegans, but because everyone benefits from B12 supplementation. Fatty acids, already covered that in the previous section.
Another fascinating anatomical feature is our unique throwing arm. Humans are the only species that can throw objects with such precision and power. Just take a moment to watch a baseball game, and you'll see it in action. This unique ability didn't evolve from picking fruit or gathering plants. It developed so we could hurl spears and hunt animals effectively.
Just because we have a good throwing arm doesn't mean we're natural-born carnivores. Chimpanzees can throw objects too, but you don't see them grilling steaks. Throwing is a useful skill, but it doesn't dictate diet. In fact, throwing could have served many purposes. Self-defense, fending off predators or hostile humans. Food gathering, knocking down fruits and nuts with sticks or stones. Building and crafting, using force to shape materials. Symbolic communication, throwing to show aggression or to get someone's attention. Social interaction and play. Many animals play to develop motor skills, and humans likely used throwing in games or competitions. Archaeological evidence shows that early humans had a varied diet of fruits, nuts, and roots. Meat came later. Even today, many indigenous cultures thrive on predominantly plant-based diets. All right, next point.
When we look at our fossils from 12,000 years ago and prior, they have very high nitrogen-15 ratings. But what does this even mean? Well, animal tissue has much higher concentrations of nitrogen than plant material. So when you analyze the N15 rating of a fossil, you can determine exactly what that animal ate. Now, in all of these old fossils, we didn't just have high nitrogen-15 ratings, we had the highest on the planet. Higher than wolves, lions, tigers, you name it, humans were the apex predator hypercarnivores.
High nitrogen-15 levels don't mean humans were super carnivores who ate only meat or more than top predators like wolves and lions. Isotope values depend on many factors. Context is key. Why the high nitrogen-15 level, you ask? 1. Seafood stacks the numbers. Fish and shellfish boost nitrogen-15 because marine food chains are longer. The fossil was probably from a coastal human. Our flexible metabolism also played a role. 2. Location. Isotope levels vary by ecosystem. A coastal human and a forest wolf won't have the same baseline. Climate matters. Fossils from animals who lived in colder regions often have higher nitrogen-15 levels. 3. Starvation spikes nitrogen-15. When the body burns its own proteins, nitrogen-15 rises. Some fossils may show the effect of being a starving human. Number 4. We weren't meatheads. Carbon isotopes and dental plaque reveal a diet rich in plants, fruits, nuts, and starches. So, high nitrogen-15 levels doesn't mean we were hardcore carnivores, just complex eaters with a talent for survival.
Now, what's also very interesting about these fossils that we find from 12,000 years ago and prior is that they had very few lesions and markings on them. When we find lesions and markings on a fossil, we can determine the person that fossil came from had some sort of disease, or at least some sort of infection. So when humans were eating only meat, our fossils were free from disease and free from infection. But all the fossils we've found in the last 12,000 years, since we've started agriculture and therefore eating a lot more plants, these fossils, they do have the lesions and markings.
About 12,000 years ago, many societies transitioned to agriculture, which led to permanent settlements and denser populations. This shift meant harder work and more interaction between people, perfect conditions for diseases to spread. But let's be clear, it wasn't because we stopped eating only meat. We never did eat only meat.
In that time, our teeth have also become more crooked. Our brains have shrunk. Since humans have started agriculture, it has been incredibly detrimental to human health.
Crooked teeth are a relatively modern phenomenon, but not because we eat more plants, rather because we chew less vigorously overall. With agriculture came softer foods like porridge and bread, and cooking became increasingly common. If we ate just as many plants, but in their tougher, rawer form, like our pre-agricultural ancestors did, our jaws would likely develop differently, leaving more room for our teeth.
Take a moment to think about this logically. If there was one food out there that provided all the nutrients we need in just the right amounts without any of those pesky toxic defense compounds, wouldn't it make sense that we would want to eat that? That food is meat. It's packed with everything our body craves, and it's pretty much nature's multivitamin.
No, Bella. No. When it comes to these essential nutrients, it's either completely lacking or barely scraping by. 1. Vitamin C, found in fruits, vegetables, and berries. Meat contains almost none, yet vitamin C is crucial for your immune system, wound healing, and collagen production. 2. Fiber, the gut's best friend. Found in whole grains, fruits, veggies, legumes, and nuts. Fiber keeps digestion smooth and lowers the risk of heart disease and diabetes. Meat, not so much. 3. Antioxidants, powerful cell defenders like flavonoids and carotenoids mostly come from plants. They help protect your body from damage caused by free radicals. Meat is sitting this one out. 4. Phytochemicals, fancy plant compounds like polyphenol and lignans that fight inflammation and boost heart health. Meat missed the memo. 5. Magnesium, essential for muscles, nerves, and energy production. It's abundant in nuts, seeds, whole grains, and leafy greens. Meat doesn't really bring much to the table here. 6. Folate, critical for DNA synthesis and fetal development. You'll find it in legumes, leafy greens, and citrus fruits. Meat's contribution is minimal. 7. Vitamin E, a powerful antioxidant that protects cell membranes and supports immunity. It thrives in nuts and seeds, but in meat? Not so much. 8. Carbohydrates, the body's main energy source, especially for your brain and muscles. So you'll need fruits, veggies, roots, and grains to keep running on full power. 9. Prebiotics, the fuel for your good gut bacteria. Found in fiber-rich foods like onions, garlic, bananas, and grains. A happy gut means better digestion and immunity. Meat, unfortunately, doesn't come with this perk. Bella, if you're looking for all the nutrients, meat won't cut it.
Even herbivores seem to get this fact on some level. Ever seen a clip of an herbivore animal taking down another animal? It's not just a fluke. This behavior suggests that some herbivores resort to eating meat not out of preference, but because they aren't able to hunt effectively or consistently due to their physical or cognitive limitations.
Just like you yourself, Bella. You got your own physical limitations to hunt, and on top of that, you fell for plenty of misinformation. And now you're forcing your frugivore body to choke down greasy animal bits and secretions. No wonder you always sound so incredibly congested.
Finally, let's touch on something that really speaks to our primal side, intuition.
Yes, finally, let's use our intuition.
Every animal out there has a natural instinct about what they should eat. There aren't any scientists advising lions on their diets. They just rely on their instincts. And what about us humans? Well, think about it. If you give a kid broccoli, what's likely going to happen? They might just burst into tears. Our taste buds are naturally drawn to what we instinctively crave.
Good point. Let's look into this. What would happen if we gave this kid a sun-ripened mango? And what do you think would happen if we gave him this?
And that often means seeking out rich, nutrient-dense foods like meat. It's our body's way of telling us what we truly need to thrive.
Really? Does your body tell you when you see a rabbit that you need to chase it down? That you should bite its throat? The rabbit's death scream doesn't affect you in the slightest because, after all, you are a carnivore. And then you should tear it apart with your teeth and lick up the warm blood that seeps out. You'd happily munch on some fur as well and eat the raw eyes with pleasure. If that's the case, Bella, then you are indeed a carnivore.